Okay, back again. There's one of my little doggies. Hello, darling. Come on. Hello, yeah. You're very good, aren't you? Yeah. And there's another one there. Dog. Hello, dog. Hello, little dog. Oh, yes. Okay, so today, after finding some hidden screws in the top of the roof, I've decided to just have a little bit of a side project, and what I'm going to do is make a Cyclops light. And what I've got is some old parts here. This is a bucket out of a car, and it's pretty rusty. It's been sandblasted and primed, but it's not really fit for its purpose that I had it intended for originally, so I'm going to use that. And I'm still deciding what I'm going to do, but I quite like the profile of this at the rear, and I think I might be able to use that. This is like the internal part, so you never see this bit, but it's on the inside of a fender normally, or mudguard, or whatever you want to call it, wherever you're from. And what to do? So first off, I've got to make a template, and I've given myself the dimension of what the light fixture is going to be. So it's going to be that round. So I've just put it on there and then basically rolled it all the way along, and that's given me a point to here. I'm giving myself some extra meat for when I fold it. So if you imagine, if you're looking at it from the front, after it's been rolled, there'll be a flange. So it'll be all the way around like that. And so that there will end up being that there. And that'll get basically shrunk down all the way around, and that'll bring it all in, and you can just tune it up then. But the purpose of this is to work out the curve. So you see this profile here. So originally this morning, while I was working away, trying to work out the plan for this, I thought I should do it in 3 pieces. So it'd be a bit like the petal on a flower. So there'd be one section, and then if you looked at this, you would divide it into 3, and then you'd make 3 parts, and then you'd make an end cap here as well. And then that was the idea, and then you'd weld it all together. But that was before I saw this, and I reckon I could maybe use this and save myself a fair bit of time. It's part of the housing anyway, and I reckon what I can do is scribe a line, probably 1 inch up, all the way around, and then that'll keep the strength on this section here if I cut this away. So if you imagine you're cutting an egg in half, so I scribe along here and then I cut away, and that would be the end of the light. So back here, that would be the end, and then you would build the body forward, and then the light would be at the front. So that's my idea, what I'm going to work with. So for that, I need a body with a circumference this big, which is here, to there, and then it will go down to whatever that circumference ends up being. And then I can pick and choose the length. And then what I would have to do then is to develop a crown on the panel in the wheeling machine, and then wrap it around this and that at the same time, meeting at either end. And I think I could probably get away with making this light fairly quickly that way. I don't really want to have to weld around here to do it, but so be it. If I've got to do it, I've got to do it. I could cheat and I could have this with a line on it, and then what I could do is on this panel at the back end where it's going to meet that, I could actually run a flange, and that would sit on the inside of it, and then it could be glued on, and it would look like a piece that was put on the back. That's maybe an option. That's a lot cleaner, a lot less welding and grinding. I'm not a big fan of grinding these days. People complain, so anyway, I'll get my head wrapped around what I could do. I have to work out a radius. So basically I've got to get a big long string, and then what I'll do is it'll end up being a curve rather than being a flat line here. Otherwise what will happen is, instead of the light being like that, it'll end up being like that. And I don't like the idea of that. So anyway, I'll continue on and bring you back. Alright, so I cut that bucket away, and that's what I'm left with. Pretty good, really. That was going to end up in the rubbish, that one, so I'm going to do something with it anyway. And it's already got the light, the cables for the light and the seal, which is good. And so what I've got to work out now is the distance that I want. So from the back to the front, and I'm going to go with it's basically where the outside of that meets that as a nice curve. So if you go like that, you really want to be about that long. And to put that into perspective, we'll use our salt shaker, and we'll say, I'm going to make it a bit long just for shits and giggles. Alright, so I'm going to say it's that long, from there to there. So all I do is turn it on its side, and go here, and I'll just give it a bit of a mark. And I'll continue on. Alright, so I got an arc there. I just used this wire actually, held it down over here, and then with my other free hand I just held onto the end of that and drew an arc. That's going to give me roughly what I want. I did say up to about there, but I've added another probably 3 inches onto that, plus that section there. And what I'll do is I'll cut it out here somewhere as a blank, and all I have to do now is from the center point is go out a along this edge, to roll it along this edge to halfway and make a point mark, and then go back through and make a mark, and that way I know I'm going to have enough distance there, because I won't be shrinking or stretching these edges. It'll just be in the center, probably mainly through here, and that'll dome it out a little bit. That'll make the transition between this plane and the front better. So anyway, I'll do that, and then I'll sort of cut out a bit of a template. I'll show you where I'm at. Okay, so with the original radius that I had, it was a bit too strange looking, so I've tweaked it down a little, brought this back edge shallower, it keeps it more straight, and that's where I'm at. So that's the template. There's extra there, all the way around. And what'll end up happening is I'll have a fillet cut out here, I'd say, or actually I might cut it out through here so it sits onto the roof correctly. But I'll go and cut this out of the metal and bring it back. Okay, so here it is. Nice piece of clean steel. I was going to use some old stuff, but might as well use some nice steel for this job. So, template with a extra all the way around it. I've just quickly done a pen line. That's where it is. I'll take it over to my my cutter now and cut it out. Bring you back. Okay, so there it is, cut out. Very rough. Outside the line. A lot of this will get cut away, but I'll leave a little bit to hold on to. So I've just set my largest radius wheel, and basically all I'm going to do now is not touch this line or this line, but run tracks through here and then essentially more this way through a center line here, and that'll dome it out. We'll see how I go. So yeah, basically through that center line there, I'll be mainly focusing. I don't really care how much dome I get, but when I fold it around, I think I'm going to lose a lot, so I'll put more than I need, but slowly, so I won't just go crazy. But anyway, I'll bring you back when I've done a little bit of wiggling, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so this is going to be real difficult for me to do one-handed, but essentially what I'm doing is following these lines. So I track this way, come back and kick it out a little bit this way, but keep it closer up there, and work my way all the way around and around this way. And then I've already gone this way a little bit, and what it does is it gives it a very strange profile. But when you bend this down, it actually pops it and just gives it a little bit of curve. So yeah, I just go like that. And I haven't tightened it down much at all, so it's just touching it. And I just keep going, tracking this way and that way, and then back in the center. And this large wheel stretches the metal a lot more, but it leaves a lot of little dimples. And then what I'll have to do is come back later and flatten it all out. But I'll just continue adding essentially what's happening here is this outside isn't stretching, but the inside is, and it's got to go somewhere. So what it does is it lifts up, and the more you work in an area, the more it will lift. But because this doesn't stretch, it stays the same shape. So yeah, so I get height wherever I track more. So that's what I'm trying to do. And it doesn't really look like much now, but I spent about 3 minutes on it so far, but I've already got some shape in it, and I'll just continue on. Okay, so you can see there's quite a curve on that now. That was a flat piece of steel about 10 minutes ago. So there's a curve, and it sort of runs around it. But what happens is, when I put pressure on it this way, it wants to straighten out back that way, and I'll lose a lot of that curve. You see what happens when I curl it back around? So I lose a lot of it. So that's why I have to induce a lot of crown. And anyway, I'll continue on, but I'll just show you. It's just, it can go from one shape to another. It's curving this way, but then when I kick it this way, it curves this way. So it's tricky, but I'll continue on. Okay, so I'm about 25 minutes, half an hour in now, and as you can see, there's a lot of curve going on here. So what I've changed into, so I went from this one. Obviously there's a lot of dome on that, so it creates a lot of lumpy, you can see the lines, so it creates a lot of lump. And I use that instead of a hammer. Otherwise I would have to hit along with a hammer on a sandbag, and I'm not doing that. So anyway, I've gone off to the flattening off wheel now, and basically I'm just going to go over it for another 15 minutes with that wheel and sort of level it out and just see where I'm at. I've got a little bit of dome in it. It's tending to do more curl, so I have to keep straightening it back out. But slowly but surely, I'd like to be able to show you what I'm doing, but it's a little hard with one hand. But basically, I'm just running it through. You can see those, they look like cross hatchings. So what I'm doing now is flattening them all out, and it ends up more like this. And that's not finished yet, but it's where I want to be anyway. So I'll just continue doing this, and that noise you hear is it hitting the tracks. It sounds like railroad tracks. So you just keep going over it and over it and over it. Tighten the wheel up a bit. Not too much though, because then you put more lines in it. So I'm just trying to get rid of all the lumps right now. And you know, they're not all out, but I won't bore you with that for the next 15 minutes, but I'll bring you back when I've finished and you can see what's happening. Okay, so you can see there's a fair bit of curve in that now. and I've somewhat got some of the, probably 40% of the ripples out of it. There's a fair bit of work to go, but there is a little bit of dome, and that's all I'm after. All I'm trying to do is just make those two, the chromed ring and the back nose section meet with not a straight piece, so just a slight curve. So working at it, getting there. That's about another half an hour. So mind you, I've only got a tiny little machine and it's not very good quality, so I'll continue on. Okay, so back inside now. I've just jumped ahead a little bit and folded this around. Nothing's welded, and just taped it on to its parts. So there's a light, and I'm just trying to see whether I like where it is. Obviously there's going to be a fair bit cut out of here to where the peak is, so I'm really only worrying about the top at the moment, and it looks pretty good to me. Probably it's a bit hard to see, but I'm liking it. Yeah, I'm definitely liking it. It's probably not doing it much justice sitting here like this, but I think it has the essence of what I'm looking for. Anyway, so that was probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours wheeling. And mind you, I've got the world's smallest wheeling machine, so, and it's not very good at all. So would have been better with aluminium, but at least I'll be able to weld the backing for this, which is this part here. I can actually weld this to this and create one piece, and I think it'll be quite strong then. So yeah, that's all I got done today. Unfortunately, I'll bring you back probably tomorrow and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm just going to throw some dirty tacks in it. I was going to call it quits for the day, but I'll just put a few tacks in and see how it looks. I've got to hold my breath. This is isocyanide primer, so don't breathe this stuff in. Alright, so I've got the bezel and I'm just tacking it in to the other end. I've done the smaller side, just lightly tacked, nothing too serious, and I'm just working my way around with a pair of pliers and just tacking it in and drawing this edge in, and should end up with a fairly even piece. Anyway, I'll bring it back. Okay, so it's all tacked together now. And I've got the light mounted. I've still got to work the bottom of it, but some of that will get cut away anyway, so I've left it, and that will be revisited. But yep, there it is, and I reckon it looks pretty cool. Sort of fits up there like that, and that'll get cut away, and then it'll fit in there quite nicely, I reckon. I just don't want to move it too much right now, but there she is. Looks good. Alright, I'll bring you back.